197 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Catherine
and Kristen, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club, where we take one book a month and dive into all the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, Kristen.
So it's December.
It is December. How fucking wild.
Yeah, it's our birthday month. We love to celebrate it. It is also holiday season.
True.
So we decided to do like a roll of the dice sort of a decision, and we are just reading a random book that neither of us have read, that I don't even know if we'd heard of until we just Googled holiday books, like
romantasy.
So we're taking a chance, and we'll see how it goes. We are reading A Court of Sugar and Spice by Rebecca F. Kenney. So normally when we intro our new book for the month, we're like, how did you get into it? How did you hear about it? But I just told you how both of us heard about it. We Googled it.
Yeah.
So I guess, have you ever heard of the author before?
Apparently I did, because I read one of her Kindle Unlimited books, The Vampires Will Save You, in 2021, when I looked back at my Storygraph books. I don't really remember a lot about reading that one. I feel like the world was kind of interesting. It was like post-apocalyptic kind of vibes.
Right.
With vampires, and then like they were, I guess, kind of like the rulers of the worlds, and it was a whole thing. Maybe again, 4 years ago, almost 5, who knows. But yeah, I think I liked it well enough. I know Lily read one of her books, Frost, and really liked it.
Okay.
So I want to read that one. It's about Jack Frost. And I do love a Jack Frost retelling.
Just, Jack Frost always reminds me of Chris Pine because of that movie, The Guardian. Rise of the Guardians?
Yes. He's Jack Frost in that?
Yes. He is.
Interesting. And I don't think I knew that.
Oh, and I love me some Chris Pine.
Oh, in a good way it reminds you of him.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I love Chris Pine. Princess Diaries 2, he stole my heart.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I secretly hoped him and Annie Hathaway would get married.
No.
But they didn't.
No. That's hilarious. I didn't realize that it was Chris Pine.
Yeah. So, anyway.
I love that movie.
I do, too. It's so
oh, my God.
good.
I didn't realize that Jude Law was Pitch Black and Hugh Jackman was the bunny.
Yeah.
Isla Fisher is the Tooth Fairy. Oh, my God. So many people.
Yeah, and even Santa Claus, the Russian Santa, is somebody that I know.
Is his name North?
Yeah.
The Santa? Yeah, Alec Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I love that movie so much. I'm gonna have to watch it again soon.
I know, it's good. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend everybody watch it, because it's like all of the holiday people get together and they're in this like superhero team.
Yeah.
And then Jude Law is the bad guy. And
it is.
And I love Jude Law as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh my
it's
God.
one of my favorites.
Anyway.
But yeah.
Side.
You stumbled across before the author on like KU or anything?
I haven't. I don't think I have. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if I did and just don't remember it.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of
That's how KU does.
Story of my life.
It's like sometimes you'll start reading something and then be like, no, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So just from looking at like the books so far, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or maybe. I don't know, man. This is... Oh, that's a lie. I could have read her Peter Pan one, because she does have a Peter Pan one. It sounds familiar. Wendy. It's called Wendy Darling.
Oh, yeah.
It's Fae Peter Pan Romance Neverland Fae, the Immortal Warriors book.
Yeah, I think the first book in that series is Frost.
Oh.
Or Jack Frost.
Yes.
But I think it's like just in the same worlds. Like I think most of her stories kind of like clue up at the end.
Right.
And then it's just in the same world.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. There could be some that aren't.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I actually, so far, like I'm liking the writing. I think the writing is pretty good.
Yeah.
So we'll see when we get into it.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get into it now. Just a heads up, this is not a spoiler-free zone, but we haven't read much, so it kind of is. And things might get saucy.
We don't know. They freely discuss it.
Yes. There's lots of talk of it.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against.
No, I know. It's not historically accurate, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
So, just a little info on our author, Rebecca F. Kenney. She writes spicy romantasy, paranormal, and retellings, as we sort of just went over. She has 7 series, a duology, a duet, and a trilogy, and 2 standalones, totaling 41 books. That's so many.
It is a lot.
What's the difference between a duology and a duet?
I was wondering that when I looked at her website, and I was like, if she calls them different things, I'll respect that. But I have no idea.
Yeah, it's weird.
I wonder...
Is a duology like 2 books, like, following maybe, like, not the same character, but set in the same place? And a duet is, like, one after another following the same story?
Yeah, I wondered if there was... if it was something like that. But only just then. No actual idea. I could have looked it up. I didn't. So, one of her series, which is actually funny because it's the one we just talked about, is the Immortal Warriors series. And it goes from Jack Frost to Wendy to Pan, and then has a book on Hades and then Apollo. And as of now, it ends with Horsemen of Sleepy Hollow. So, like... I guess all of these different characters are in the same universe. I'm kind of intrigued on that series because it seems like a lot. So she obviously has a lot of different variety of books out there, it seems like. And like I said, I read a vampire one. I think the next one in that series is about a chimera.
Oh. So, it does seem like she enjoys her retellings because of what this is.
Yeah, did we say what this is?
So, if we forgot. So, we said that this book that we're doing this month is called A Court of Sugar and Spice. But it is actually book 1 in the Wicked Darling series. It is on Kindle Unlimited, and it is a Nutcracker retelling. Yeah. So, everything references the Nutcracker, which I am here for. I love the Nutcracker. I take my kids to see the ballet every year. Around Christmas time. I used to watch, we had a thumbelina that came out by, what's his name, John Bluth, or something like that, like, he did, like, Thumbelina, and, like sort of those, like, off the beaten path sort of cartoon movies that were still amazing.
Yeah.
So I think he did, Don Bluth is his name, sorry, not John, Don. And he was in, like, The Great Mouse, like, I think he did The Great Mouse Detective. I'm trying to remember if he was in Fievel Goes West, The American Tale. But, he was in a lot of those, like, 80s movies, and he did a lot of them. So he did this one as well, this 1980s Nutcracker, and it was a staple of my childhood, even though I was born in the late 80s. My sister was obsessed, therefore I was obsessed. We had the VHS, and I just watched it over and over and over again. And I can still remember, like, some of the lines. And I haven't seen it in I would say definitely 30 years.
I don't know if I've ever seen or if I know anything about the Nutcracker.
Wait, like about any nut?
Any part of it? Yeah.
Oh. So this is
Please.
this is a whole new kettle of fish for you.
Yeah.
So I can point out the differences and you'll be like, "Oh."
I'll be like, I just thought that it was like this.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you are in charge of pointing out things that one might not know if they don't know the Nutcracker.
Oh, I also forgot to mention that, like, the Barbie Nutcracker, I loved that movie when I was a kid.
Oh, wait.
Did you?
I might have
had
seen the
to have
Barbie
seen that.
It was like, but I haven't seen anything else.
To be fair, it was very different from the actual Nutcracker. Like,
I think I loved all of those Barbie movies.
Who
they
didn't?
They were pretty good.
I actually, so side note, I know we're going way off here, but it's fine.
Oh, good.
There's this guy that my husband watches on YouTube, and I cannot tell you his name right now. But he actually took, as a, like, 40-year-old man, maybe not 40, maybe he's, like, 30. He does a lot of, like, tasting stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure he went to, like, every single Margaritaville in, like, one of the states, like, the state of California or something like that. And he did, like, every single something else. Like, he goes around different places tasting their food.
Yeah.
But for some reason, somebody encouraged him to watch every single Barbie movie, essentially in one sitting.
Oh my god. And
rate them all. And there's like 40 plus of those movies. And so he did.
Oh my god.
And he rated them. And I watched the entire video of him watching those movies and rating them, and it was so good. It was such a great moment. We had similar opinions. Anyway.
Love it.
So, yeah. So, this is like coming back to an old friend for me. New adventure for you.
Basically, yes.
So, this week we are jumping in with week 1, obviously. We're reading chapters 1 to 7. So we start in Clara's point of view, and again, for those of you that don't know, Clara is the quote-unquote main character of the Nutcracker. Not so much in this book. She shares the limelight, but in the original, Clara is our main character. She is the one who is gifted the Nutcracker at Christmas time. Mm. So her and her sister Louisa, now don't quote me on this, not a thing in real life. Yeah. Like that's not a nut. It might be, maybe an older sister might be in some versions. I'm going back to the ballet and I don't remember it in the ballet. They're standing in front of a house. And they're talking about how they don't need a guardian since they're both over 20. But they have no money, they have no place to go, and they have no useful skills. So this is designed to be sort of set in, I don't know, would you say Victorian? Like, the ballet was written in the 1890s. So
It's hard to say. But it's got to be like they need they need chaperones, and like they need to stay with somebody. They're not their own people until they're married.
Yeah, so it's definitely sort of like an antiquated society. Mm-hmm. We don't really know where, like, what country they're in or anything like that. But yeah, so right now they have no money, they have nowhere to go, and they have no useful skills to help them get a job.
It just reminds me of Charlotte in Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, I have no money and no prospects. I'm already a burden to my parents. And I'm frightened.
Yeah.
Don't you judge me. Anyway, so Louisa sort of pipes up, like, you do have, I did just look it up. It is, in some versions, the older sister.
Interesting.
But
She seems younger in this one, but I actually don't know.
No, I don't think it
tells us yet.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention enough, I guess.
Yeah. But again, not in the original ballet. There is no Louisa.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Louisa tries to like sort of stand up for Claren's like, you have your art, your painting, and that's a useful skill. But Clara's like, no, it isn't. Like, it doesn't pay well. And she was like, as our father reminded me constantly. So already we're sort of getting hints that her dad was a dick.
Yeah.
But also, I sort of agree. Like, not that I don't want to say that. If you want to be an artist, you follow those dreams. But in terms of the time period.
Yeah. But what are women supposed to do in this time period? Like, are they even supposed to have jobs? It seems like...
No. Like, a lady wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
But I also, like, I think there's also a difference between being an artist and painting and drawing. Yeah. So I think a lady can draw for amusement. But when it crosses over the line into, like, painting full-on, like, canvases...
And being messy.
I think that's a man thing.
Yeah.
So.
But it's just, like, it seems like we're kind of straddling different times here. Because it's like, her father's like, that's not gainful employment. And it's like, but is she supposed to even have employment? Because it seems like eventually they'll have, like, means when they get their inheritance. It'll be enough money to live on.
Yeah, but I don't know if he said, like, gainful employment. I think he just said a useful skill. Like,
useful skill.
Art is not useful in attracting a husband. It's also not very useful in helping them get money. So, not useful.
Yeah, it's interesting that her father, because it says art doesn't pay, as her father reminded her. So it's like, it just confuses me on the timeline, I guess, of, like, when it's supposed to be set.
Yeah. And I do think that maybe that's intentional.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's trying to... Because as soon as you declare it's during a certain time period, then people start looking for historical inaccuracies.
Yeah.
Of
and it's
which
also like,
we are some.
Yeah. But it's like, there are fae in this world. And it's like, but the historical inaccuracies.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so she sort of thinks, and therefore tells the reader, that her father's will, her father is dead, stipulated that neither sister can access their inheritance until either they're 30 or get married. So that's nice. I do wonder how much the inheritance is.
Yeah. It also is just wild. So they're in their 20s now. It's wild to be like, I guess he has died. We're kind of assuming the father's dead, right? Does it say that at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, like, to be like, you need to house and feed these girls because...
I'm dead.
Yeah. But they'll get an inheritance eventually. But until then, you need to take the brunt of the cost.
Yeah. I mean, I guess... What would you do for any of your friends? You know what I mean? Like,
but it seems like they've never met him before. Like, it just seems wild.
I don't think they have in quite a while. I think they were small, maybe.
Yeah.
But once we sort of learn a little bit more about the Drosselmeyer and their dad's sort of
eccentricities.
Yes, thank you. Once we learn a little bit more about that, maybe it is a bit more understandable why they don't hang out.
Yeah.
And it seems like they did travel quite a bit to get there. So, like we just said, their father named his old friend, their godfather, as their guardian. So he was already their godfather. So he just must have named him a guardian on top of that. And his name, or what they call him, is Uncle Drosselmeyer.
Do they call him Uncle?
I don't know. I didn't really pick up on that because they don't interact with him a whole lot.
There's one scene I'm thinking of, and I'm like, you don't. I hope you're not calling him uncle.
True story.
When those are your thoughts.
Yeah. So, I am sort of disappointed in... I'm hoping we see more of him and he sort of redeems himself. I don't like his character trajectory thus far.
Same.
Because, like, in the ballet, he's, like... So, in the ballet, he's sort of like a kooky, mysterious, like, older gentleman. But in most of the retellings, he's just like a kind guy. Like, he gives the kids presents. He made the Nutcracker for Clara. Like, you know, he wanted them to feel special. So I appreciate why she's doing it. She's trying to make it really different. But it sort of makes me sad that they're turning this, like, really nice guy and, like, this really cool uncle figure into, like, what they did.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, they were just, like, unceremoniously, like, dropped at the door. Their trunks were taken out of the, like, carriage, and they're just gone. And the girls are just like, yeah, okay, and they just start carrying their own trunks. Because then they tell us that the dad didn't believe in hiring servants. Because, you know, he had 2 servants built in with kids.
Of course.
So they did all the chores. And the whole point, so, like, they wanted to earn as much money as possible so that they could go to Engelberg, which is, I don't know where. Sounds British. And get jobs cooking or cleaning or mending or something.
Switzerland?
Is it in Switzerland?
In Engelberg. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's an interesting location.
Fun.
It is fun. So Louisa just said that, like, she just wants to get married so she can have her inheritance. And in her brain, she's like, doesn't even matter who I marry, because once I am married and have access to my inheritance, I'll be rich.
So they must be getting a lot of money. Or is that going to be, like, the joke of it all?
God.
They think they're going to be rich.
I hope not. So, like,
right.
They show up at the house. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no stables. There's nothing. It's just the house. And then Drosselmeyer comes to the door. And so far, he's actually pretty cool. So, like, he's pretty laid back and chill. And he's very much like, this is my home. And it's your home. Like, I don't know. He's just being a chill guy.
Yeah. For 2 people just showing up on his door.
Yeah.
I thought that he'd be fine.
Yeah, I know, me too. So the girls are like, thanks for letting us stay. And he's like, even though we've never met, so you were right, they've never met, he feels he knows them both, considering what their dad wrote about them. So, according to him, his dad wrote to him all the time. We don't know anything about that. I wonder if it's even true.
Yeah.
So he like brings them into the house with their luggage, puts it on a lift and sends it upstairs. And it's sort of like trying to showcase that he's an inventor and like his house is full of gadgets to try and make things easier. He also tells them that he is having a dinner party the next night and they're both invited to come, which seems very sudden to have a dinner party. Like, you just got new guests.
Is he having it because...
Oh.
Was he already having it and then they showed up and he's like, y'all can come?
I don't know, because it doesn't seem like the party is for them, because he's, you know,
wheeling and dealing.
Yes. So, yeah. So I don't think the party's for them. I think he's just having one. And again, it just, like, you couldn't delay it a week.
Yeah. I keep wondering, did he even know that they were going to show up today? And he's just like, oh, you're here. Who are you? What's going on?
They must have sent him a letter.
I'd hope so.
This is why carrier pigeons would be helpful.
Yeah.
You could just send him a carrier pigeon and be like, we're coming. So Clara asks then, like, oh, do you sell your inventions? And he says he does, but some stuff he can't bear to part with and can't sell. And Clara actually agrees with him because she feels the same about her paintings. Some she's okay to give away, others she is not. So he makes a comment that he knows that she's a talented artist. And then apparently the dad, when he was alive and sending his letters, complained about her art. And I'm like, okay, dude, like,
I don't think you need to tell her that.
no.
That's just cruel.
So, also fun fact, Fritz is actually the name of the brother in the original. The younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Who breaks the Nutcracker originally.
Interesting.
Yes, but I guess they've made him the dead dad now.
Fair enough.
I'm sure eventually he'd become a dad, so, you know. Maybe not a huge stretch. So, they go up to the guest rooms, and Drosselmeyer, like, shows them their room and then says, please stay off the third floor. Like, that's where my rooms are, and I would like some privacy. And, like, Louisa is low-key pissed because she's like, well, geez, if it was any less polite, I would have definitely gone up there.
I do love that.
And Louisa's, like, super excited for the dinner, and she just wants some guys that she could flirt with and potentially marry.
Yeah.
And so the girls have noticed, like, there are no servants around the house. So they're like, oh, shit, it's going to be more of the same. Like, it's going to be more of, like, what we went through with.
We're going to be the ones
yes.
cleaning and cooking and whatever.
Yeah. So both girls unpack, but Clara finishes first. And decides she's going to go look around while Louisa does her thing. So she's exploring, then she goes into the drawing room and finds a really big painting. And she goes over and, like, strokes the frame with her hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she's running her hand along the frame. And she's just admiring it. But then she feels a button on it. And she presses in on it. And it reveals, like, a hidden door. So she's like, oh, I should probably get Louisa. But she feels like Louisa experiences more and has had more adventures and those sorts of things. And she wants to be able to do things on her own, too. So.
Yeah.
In other words, Louisa is the outgoing one. Emma's the shy, or Clara's the shy one. So she goes through the door and she's in a long, narrow room and there's, like, artifacts everywhere. And they're, like, magical artifacts. So, like, there's a staff, and there's, like, this weird golden gem on the top, and there's an eye inside. And I'm getting Amarantha flashbacks.
Yeah.
There are, like, statues everywhere that are sort of, like, human-esque, but have, like, heavier beastie features. Then she hears a noise behind her, and there's a wooden maid just right behind her.
Wild.
It's super creepy.
Yeah.
And, like, she's, like, trying to talk to it. It doesn't say anything. She tries to, like, not move it with her hands, but, like, faking her out, I almost want to feel like, to see if she'll, like, move or blink, and she doesn't. Then Drosselmeyer turns up and tells her that this statue is, or carving, whatever you want to call it, is one of his automatons. And he tells her that it works by clockwork. And then he says, you know what? I'm not going to tell you this anymore. Go get your sister. He says, go get your sister because she's in this creepy room. And he says, like, we'll handle it, but just go get the people that need to be there.
So, we move on now to Louisa's point of view. And already, sorry, if you couldn't tell, I'm getting a cough. and losing my voice, which is amazing. So I'm so sorry. So we're in Louisa's point of view already. I'm not crazy about one of the sisters. I prefer one to the other. And
Can't imagine why.
yeah. And it's problematic because it just means that every time we enter Louisa's point of view, I'm just like, ugh.
And it's kind of funny because the way the book is, it's literally chapter to chapter. It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not even like, I don't know, in a normal book, it doesn't go back every single chapter. It'll be like a few over here, a few over there. And like they're together, so it's just to get...
It's so that we get to know. It's so we get to know each one equally.
Yeah.
But I don't like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Louisa is not my favorite.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, after being dismissed by Drosselmeyer, Clara goes back to their rooms and goes in and tells Louisa about what she found and about the automaton and everything. And Louisa wants to go and see it, but they have to go to dinner. Dinner is also served by all automatons. So he's got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, so like they were all like, oh my god, there's no servants, but like there are. They're just mechanical. So Louisa then, like, while they're at dinner, asks if there are any eligible men around. And she was like, they don't even have to be rich, because I'll get rich with my inheritance. But Drosselmeyer, like, they're sitting at the table, and Drosselmeyer's like, you know that as your guardian now, I have to approve of a match.
I'm annoyed with him already.
I am a little bit too, but, like, at the same time, they're in polite society. Like, what she's suggesting is also not correct. Because the whole point of marriage is to make a good match. So if she's like, I'll take anybody, like, it's not really correct either. Then Louisa thinks maybe she could seduce Drosselmeyer.
Which is why I was like, we can't be calling him uncle.
No. No. And I'm just like, she really does not care.
No.
And she's like, I've had men and women, and they both find me irresistible. And I'm like, how open-minded for a 19th century family.
Well, she's just sneaking around. She's not...
No, I know.
Probably supposed to be.
No, she's not telling people about it, but even still, like, yikes.
Yeah.
So she just wants to be able to manipulate him into agreeing to whoever her choice is for marriage.
Yeah, which I'm like, if you seduce him and he wants you, that's not going to help you at all.
No, because if he wants you, he can just have you.
Yeah. And then he won't agree for anybody, but he'll just
keep you
use her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, she is very, like, don't care, flying by the seat of her pants, like, do whatever I want, whenever I want, sort of a character.
Yeah.
So, she wants to be able to manipulate him and wants something on him. So she wants to get to the 3rd floor where he said, please don't go.
In the nicest way.
She wants to get there so that she can find something on him to manipulate him with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't love that. I don't love that right off the bat. She's like, how can I manipulate this person?
Yeah. It shows her character, but I also am like, why are we doing this?
I just don't like I don't like manipulative people, I guess.
Yeah.
So, right off the bat, I'm like, she's going out of her way to try and manipulate someone. I don't like that.
Yeah, I do feel like in a society like this, maybe I fault her a bit less for, like, trying to take control of her future in the little way she can, since she doesn't have says and things. So she wants to manipulate people to try to take control of it. You know what I mean?
I guess.
But, yeah. It is like, that's your first instinct, is to manipulate him, even though, what is that bad about him? Do we know anything yet? You know?
Yeah. I don't
Like,
know.
we haven't really met him enough to know.
No. But I guess, you know, they want to explore the third floor and find out.
Well, she wants to.
Well, yeah. So after dinner, they take a tour of the house. Drosselmeyer shows them his showroom, which has all of his inventions in it. Clara is super impressed. And right off the bat, Clara and Drosselmeyer seem to get along. Like,
Yeah.
Clara is impressed with his stuff, asks him questions. He sort of brings up her art. Like, they are gelling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess it makes sense that Louisa is sort of on the outs, maybe. But, anyway.
On the outs of this, like, of
The three of them.
the three of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also, I feel like it's just, like, they're trying to show that Clara is more, like, of a goody two-shoes, like, do the right thing, teacher's pet kind of thing.
Oh my god, is that why I like her more?
Probably.
So most of the inventions in the showroom are for household and business use. And when I read that, I was like, isn't that all there is? There's the home and then there's work. Like, what else is there?
Yeah.
Like,
I
doesn't
don't
that
know.
cover most things?
I would think so. Household, I guess, like, is personal different than household? Because household does make me think of, like, the cleaning of... But, like, that's me, like, stretching to try to come up with something, because, like, you could just call personal household as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're probably going to be at home.
Yeah.
Don't know. V confused.
Yeah. So, the very back of the room has this gigantic dollhouse, and it's, like, built out of the wall, and when Drosselmeyer turns it on, the little dolls move around, and Louisa finds it weird for two reasons. The first reason is that the dolls are bigger than they ought to be. So they essentially, it's from the, like, crook of your elbow all the way to the tip of your middle finger. So, like, they're a bit bigger of a span than what you would expect to see in a dollhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the dollhouse fits that size, but, you know, it's just not your typical size when you think of dollhouses.
Yeah.
I would say dollhouses are usually one ratio of 1 to 32 or 1 to 64.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems bigger than that. So, the other reason is it's odd for a dollhouse to belong to an old man.
Fair.
Now, if you had watched Best in Miniature, you would know that old men can make dollhouses too. But it's fine. So Louisa asks if the dolls that are in the house, they're on, like, moving around on tracks. And she was like, can they come out of the house? And he says no. Essentially, they're only programmed to do what he tells them to.
Yeah.
So, like, he hasn't programmed them to come out of the house, so they don't. She also finds the carvings of the dolls strange because they have odd proportions. They have, like, pointed ears and sharp teeth or wooden claws. And that's just weird. Pointed ears. I wonder where this is going. So, Clara asks if she can touch one, and Drosselmeyer gives her, or shows her, his newest creation, which is obviously the Nutcracker. And he shows them how it cracks nuts. And Louisa wants to do it. So he tells her to go to the kitchen and get them. And so she does. And when she gets to the kitchen, there are 3 automatons washing up from dinner. And one of them is doing the dishes, and the other 2 are standing close together. Almost like they're chatting or gossiping. But that's weird. Because supposedly they're mechanical. They shouldn't chat.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be whispering with each other. That's not what they're programmed to do. So she goes back and they use the Nutcracker a couple of times. And then they reveal that their dad never let them have nuts.
Why? It's just such a weird... It's like he's such a weird person.
And like...
I guess.
I just think he's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, nuts, really? What's wrong with nuts?
It's odd.
Anyway. So, Louisa then accidentally drops him trying to maneuver the nut and the shell and everything. So she drops him. And he seems fine. But Louisa sees like a sliver of wood has come out of his arm. And she finds it. Drosselmeyer and Clara have already like turned away to examine something else. And then she takes the sliver and like tucks it in her dress. And she's like, she doesn't want to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I'll just fix it later when everyone's asleep. So they go back to their rooms, go to bed, and Louisa gets up later in the night to explore. So she passes by the front door, and I'm gonna say I don't understand the layout of this house at all. I had to go back and read this a couple of times. I
just moved on because I was like, I'm never going to understand this.
Well, that's it. So, like, she passes by the front door and sees that it's locked with iron chains, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. We all know what iron does. Mm-hmm. So, she gets back to the showroom, and, like, at first, I thought that the showroom was a separate, like, building because of how it's written.
Yes. But she obviously doesn't go outside.
No. So I wonder if, like, it's like an add-on maybe? Like, maybe it juts out off the house?
Yes. That could make sense.
Which is what I got confused. And that's the only way I can explain it.
That's fair.
So she gets back to the showroom. She takes the sliver. And then, of course, she cuts herself on the shard of wood. So her finger is bleeding quite profusely. Because, you know, oh, I'm so incompetent. I have to cut myself. Like, it's not hard to not cut yourself on a piece of wood.
Well, it's also not hard to just, like, stop yourself from bleeding all over everything.
Yep. So, nonetheless, and she literally just lets herself bleed profusely.
Yeah.
And then she glues the shard back into the Nutcracker. And of course, some of her blood mixes in with the glue. Completely by accident.
So much so that it turns pink. I'm like, girl, you should be able to stop yourself from bleeding enough that you don't change the glue's color.
Also, does she have a bleeding problem where, like, how runny is her blood? Should it not have coagulated by now?
From, like, a slit, like, I know...
Or clot.
Paper cuts can hurt, but, like, you'd think it would be like a paper cut and wouldn't be this bad.
Like,
I would think.
The way they describe it, it's like, she's, like, blood is, like, she's lost, like, a liter of blood from this one little cut.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, shard is in. The Nutcracker vibrates in her hand, and that makes her swear. But then she says it's not very becoming of a lady, but she admits that it was Clara's math tutor who taught her swear words, while she, quote unquote, came on his dick.
Yep.
So it's safe to say Louisa is not your average damsel, even though she'll cut herself on a piece of wood.
And just let it free flow.
Yeah.
Like, I can see cutting yourself by accident, but just like bleeding that much and not doing something to stop yourself from, like, because I was like, she's bleeding on the nut, like, that's not good. Blood could stain. Like, this is bad. And she's just like, oopsie.
Yeah. So she like is stressed out because like it's vibrating in her hand. So
Yeah.
she's like, I'll just put him down. And then all of a sudden it grows and grows larger and larger until it's human size and has this green light coming out of it. And then it's moving and it's alive. And like the lever on its back is gone. And it appears less wooden, but still stiff and jointed like a puppet. So we have a Nutcracker that's now walking and talking.
I don't think he can crack nuts anymore.
I mean, he probably could with his hand.
Oh. Nuts are hard to crack.
Are they? I've never attempted it.
Really?
No. I just buy shelled.
What?
I mean, I've done peanuts.
Yeah, but peanuts are easy.
Yeah. But like, what other nut am I cracking?
Walnuts.
Yeah, but I buy them pre-done.
Yeah.
Buy
it's
full
fun.
walnuts.
That's a fun activity.
Is it?
I think so.
Sunflower seeds?
Yeah, they're also easy to crack. You don't need a nutcracker for those. If you nutcrack those, they'd just be done.
I'm sorry, but you can't. How can you nutcrack the nutcrackers I have in my home? You would not be able to do a walnut anyway because it's too big.
Walnuts are too big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's because they're decorative. They're not actually, like, we've gone past the time of useful nutcrackers. Like, most people, like you said, don't use them. But, like, I have a hand one that's, like, metal, and it just, whoop, the nut in it. Like, open it.
Interesting. Just find it funny that this is something that you do often enough that you have a nutcracker.
Well, yeah, I don't really do it much anymore. But
What do you mean
I have done
anymore? You mean you
know.
went through a period of life where you crack nuts all the time?
I feel like it's like a Christmas thing. Maybe like, must be like my dad would just get a giant bag of a bunch of different kinds of nuts and we'd crack them.
And eat them?
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, all right. That's fine, I guess. Anyway, so the Nutcracker speaks. And it calls Louisa a mortal girl and demands assistance. It wants help getting up. And she asks why it keeps calling her immortal. Yeah.
Because you are immortal.
Yeah, right? Like, and he says it's because he's the prince of the fairy. And Louisa jokes and she was like, well, I'm the queen of this land. And he's like, you don't look like a queen. You look like a guest of the horrible hunter, Drosselmeyer. So now we're learning a little bit more about her guardian. So she's like, Hunter, Drosselmeyer, what? So...
Of course, because so were we.
Yeah.
Like that old man.
Yeah.
He seems kooky, but...
And so she wants to hear everything he has to say. But she wants Clara to hear it too. So she takes the Nutcracker to the secret room Claire found earlier and explains it away by Louisa being like, oh, Clara tells me literally every exact specification on how to get into the secret room because they're sisters and they share everything. And I'm like...
It almost sounded like she was going to say, but I don't share everything with her.
I find that without being insulting, I find that a bit of a lazy explain away.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is when when Clara did go in the room, she was like, oh my God, I need to go tell Louisa about this room.
Yeah, but like, if you were to go and say if you found a secret room, would you then come to me and be like, I found a secret room. I pressed a button on a picture and I found it. Right? That's what you would say.
Yeah.
But no, apparently Clara said, so in the living room, there's this exact painting. And about 3/4 of the way across the frame, hidden in the gilding, or the filigree, or whatever you want to call it, there's a button. And if you push that button, it opens a door over here to a secret. It just...
Yeah.
It doesn't feel believable to me.
Yeah. If I knew you were going to try to go without me, I'd say, hey, so 3/4.
Yeah.
But why would she think that Louisa was going to go without her?
Yeah. So, like, yeah. That's just... I feel like you wouldn't explain every single specification unless, like, they directly asked you for it.
Yeah.
So she goes to wake her up. She brings the guy there, and then she goes to wake Clara up. So then we go back to Clara's point of view. So Louisa has woken her up, brings her to the secret room. She introduces Clara to the prince, and he tells them that he should be king of the Court of Delight, but Drosselmeyer captured and cursed him before he could take the throne. Clara's like, we're not awake. And Louisa's like, yes, we are, and gives her a pinch. And then he tells them that Drosselmeyer is more intelligent than the average human and has been hunting fae since he was young and has learned their weaknesses. Plus, he's a sorcerer who can cast curses. And then he tells them that most of the puppets, dolls, and automatons are actually cursed fae, forced to do Drosselmeyer's bidding. So, like, that sort of explains why they were gossiping and whispering. Clara asks how he's alive, and Louisa tells her that it's because of her blood. And the Fae Prince is like, yeah, you're right. And he tells them that this effect is only temporary. In order for him to break the curse entirely, he needs to return to the land of the Fae and get into the unending pool to regain his true form and powers. So that's what he wants to do. And then Clara, goody two-shoes that she is, asks, what about the people trapped here? Don't you care about them? And he responds that he does. But he has to return to Fairy quickly to reclaim his throne, or the Court of the Dead will take over his kingdom, which I don't remember existing. Like in Fairy, there's the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court.
Which they call them Unseelie later.
I know, but why call it...
So I don't know. Yeah. That's weird. I didn't notice that part. I just noticed they call them the Unseelie and then the Rat whatever and all that stuff. Which I know is Nutcracker stuff, the Rat King.
Yeah, like, when I look up Court of the Dead in Fairy, there's no connection. Yeah. There's nothing so far. But
yeah.
Anyway, I feel like it's like a stretch to try and make it so that they could include the rats.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They could have just been like the Unseelie Court and there's rats. Like,
although the rats, they are just wearing rat masks.
Yeah.
So, like, they're not real rats.
Yeah. We don't know that yet.
I know, I just spoiled it. Sorry.
We do find out this week. It's fine.
Anyway, so he just says he has to get back to take over his kingdom. But after he does that and has his powers back, he's going to try and find a way to free them. Louisa says, why don't I just bleed on all of them? But he says that it would take too much blood because their curses are older than his. So because his is new, he only needed a little bit of her blood to be reanimated. But they've been here longer, so a little bit of blood's not going to do it. They ask why they've been here so long. Like, haven't you been looking for them? And he tells them that Drosselmeyer uses a portal to get into the land of fairy, and the portal opens somewhere else every time. So they have no idea where it's going to be or where he will appear. He's also cursed it so that only he can use it, which I don't understand. And I'll tell you why in a bit.
Okay.
He does say that they do have other portals into the human realm, but they don't know where Drosselmeyer's house is. Because, like, they don't know human worlds or human lands. And we don't even know where his house is. Switzerland, Sweden? Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think we said Switzerland.
But all we know is that the girls want to get a job in Engelberg. That doesn't mean that Drosselmeyer lives in Switzerland.
Yeah. Correct.
So, and like it also said at the beginning that this house is like in the middle of nowhere. So like they're literally trying to find a needle in the haystack, have no idea where his house is. So they ask like, why would Drosselmeyer do something like this? But the prince is like, I don't know, like he's a human, so sport. Like he really just thinks humans are terrible.
Yeah.
So he asks them to help him get home and save his people. And they are not originally eager to help because they've heard all these stories that the Fae are dangerous. And like, you know, we've all been told stories about the Fae. Mm-hmm. Well, I say we all. Here where we are, even. Like,
yeah,
you know, we've been told you don't step in the middle of a mushroom circle.
Yeah.
Or if you go walking in the woods, you either have to have some sort of like crumbs in your pocket or wear something inside out. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, the whole lore around fairy is that they are suspicious and dangerous and not to be trusted. So I think originally, they're being cautious here. But it's literally a split second.
It really is. And like, I feel like you're probably going to get into it, but I feel like Louisa's like, we should maybe not do this. And then Clara's like, no, we have to. And then that's it. That's all the talk about it. We're not even going to think on it another second.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. They're like, oh, you're dangerous. But like, it is funny how they pretty much immediately believe him.
Yeah. It's like your Drosselmeyer has been nice enough. Like he hasn't done anything to make you doubt him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're like, oh, I don't know if we want to help. And then they're like, we don't know where the portal is. And he's like, look for a door to nowhere.
Helpful, thank you.
And then he's like, I can feel myself hardening again. And that made me chuckle.
Well, it makes is it Louisa chuckle too?
Yeah. And they tell him that they will look for the door and then bleed on him again to show him. So like, literally they're like, oh, I don't know. Okay. So he shrinks back down and they decide to go put him back and go hunting for the door tomorrow. So there's during the party, because there's going to be a party.
Yeah.
So the next night they get ready for the party. They spend most of the time during the day in the library avoiding Drosselmeyer. I guess they don't want to face him.
Because they don't trust themselves not to be like, hey.
Yeah. So Clara feels bad that everyone coming into the house fawns over the automatons and like they don't ask questions about them. And she was like, just like me, when I first came in the house, I didn't ask questions about how they worked either. But now I know they're cursed fae and I feel bad. Yep. And I'm like, girl, like, you're just taking it on faith. Like, I don't know.
Well, you can feel bad that the automatons are sentient beings that are now being forced to do things, I guess. Even if a Fae prince is bad, it doesn't mean like all Fae are bad.
No,
like,
but like, I guess, how does she even, I don't know. I just like, it just feels weird, like they're just taking everything the prince says as fact.
yeah. I just think that this one's like, her feeling bad for the automatons is less taking everything on fact than them being like, we'll help you. That was just, I feel like that's kind of foolish to just take that on fact. But then like feeling bad for all of these sentient beings who are then forced to, like, one was standing in a corridor the whole night doing nothing, like in a little alcove. Like, I think that's mean.
Yeah. It is, but like, again, I understand feeling bad for like them, but at the same time, just the fact that he said, oh, those are other curse fae, and she's like, okay. Like,
Oh, yeah, but I think like even when she saw them the first time, she was like, there's no clockwork here. Like, how can they be automatons? So I think she was already kind of like
suspicious.
huh. Yeah.
Okay. Valid, I guess.
But yeah.
So the dinner starts. Louisa immediately is like super social butterfly, goes to mingle with everybody. But like Clara is obviously a bit more wallflower. The room's been decorated for Christmas, and she wishes she had her art supplies to draw the house and the party, because apparently it's very nice. So they all eat dinner, and Clara doesn't see Drosselmeyer as a Fae hunter. Like, she says he seems like too scatterbrained, like too much like inventory. So like, seems like she's hesitant.
Yeah.
So after dinner, Drosselmeyer tells the guests that they will go look at his inventions now, and there will be a silent auction for some of the pieces, but they can order from his warehouse as well. So I'm wondering, like, is he essentially just human trafficking, but for Fae?
Seems like.
Like, maybe that's his motivation. It's just money.
Yeah, could be.
Anyway, so Louisa tells Clara that they'll wait until everyone is distracted by the inventions, and she'll grab the Nutcracker. But says that if anyone sees her, Clara will have to make some sort of extra distraction. So they get to the dollhouse, and some asshole makes some sort of sexual comment about the Nutcracker. And Louisa manages to distract him and be like, oh, can you get me a drink? And, like, gives him a show of her cleave. And, like, he gives Louisa this really creepy look. And Clara hates it. She hates that women are, like, treated this way. Like an object.
Yeah.
Louisa doesn't care, though. Because she's like, it makes me feel powerful. And she said they can't do anything to her that she doesn't allow. And I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah, I guess in this place.
Public, yes.
Yeah, but still. And should we be trusting Drosselmeyer enough right now? Like, who knows what his motivations are?
Yeah.
And what he would allow.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote unquote. Gross.
So she says they're going to look at her like with a creepy look, whether she likes it or not. So she might as well take advantage of it. And like, I don't know, maybe it's that attitude that I'm not crazy about.
Yeah.
Like, no, guys shouldn't do that. That shouldn't be something that you just accept.
Yeah.
And Clara sort of also agrees with me. She thinks, like, society is the thing that needs to change.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yes, Clara, queen.
It definitely does, but it's not.
No, I know.
So, I, like, not to be apathetic about it, but it's like, when is it going to change? Why not already?
Yeah, no, you're right. So when everybody is distracted by one of the other inventions, Louisa grabs the Nutcracker and sneaks out. And Clara is about to follow, but Drosselmeyer makes eye contact with her, and she sees something in his eyes that makes her believe the Fey Prince. Like something, like, wild or, like, severe or something.
Yeah, and I think she says that he knows.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you tell?
Well, that's the thing. I guess she's sneaking out like a thief in the night.
Yeah, she's not super subtle.
No. So she just leaves the showroom, and he just watches her leave. So she's like, oh shit, he knows.
Yeah. So we go to Louise's point of view now, and Claire's just like, Drosselmeyer knows. She's just like, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess they needed this situation to happen.
Yeah.
But basically the point is they need to hurry. So they get to the 3rd floor, and the door's locked, and there's no keyhole, and Clara wonders if it's magic. So Louisa just uses the cut that she already has and, like, bites it to bleed on the Nutcracker. And he comes to life. And he immediately, of course, knows that it's an iron lock, so Faye can't touch it, and it needs a mortal's blood. And he says it could actually be keyed to just Drosselmeyer's blood, so hers might not work. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
And if he could do that, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But that's not the case. So Louisa asks why mortal blood is always the thing. But the Nutcracker tells her, like, blood is life, and mortal blood has salt and iron, and it's useful for, like, small magic, basically. So she's like, so if she uses more blood, would he become more Fey? And he basically says yes, but it still isn't permanent, and he wouldn't regain his powers. He just needs to get to the unending pool, because that's the original source of Fey magic, and that's what will break the curse. But I guess if she uses more blood, it'll keep him Fey for longer. So then Louisa asks what would happen if he drank her blood. And everyone's just like, ew. But then the lock just vibrates and something clicks. And they kind of leave that. And they need to hurry. And Louisa says because Clara had an eye-to-eye understanding with Drosselmeyer that he knows what's going on now. And the Nutcracker looks at Clara and is like, oh, that's your name, Clara? And Louisa sees the interest between him and Clara, and it annoys her. So she's just like, we have to hurry. And I'm like, who is the Nutcracker going to get with here? Because, like, there seems to go back and forth a little bit.
I'm actually annoyed about it. Like, I'm really annoyed about it. I'm really annoyed about it.
So far. Like, have you read past this week?
Where does this week end?
Well, I don't.
Hang on. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes. So I've read this week.
Yeah.
And, well, like, even if you read the synopsis, like, the synopsis for the book, I believe it tells you who's going to end up with who.
Oh, I don't read synopsises, so.
Hang on.
But we're going to get there this week. So we...
I'm just... Yeah. So, like, it tells us in the synopsis who's going to end up with who. And it makes me mad.
Yeah. Because it's different than...
the ballet. And every iteration.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. So it just was interesting, and it's back and forth, and there's two other points of view, and I was like, what is going to happen here? Because is there a romance between any of them? Like, what is going on? Anyway, so she asks again what the portal looks like, and he says it's a door to nowhere. And she's like, cool, can you be more specific? And he's just like, you'll know it when you see it. And she's like, we're trying to help here. This is not helpful. And then he says he's grateful and he thanks them, and he's not used to needing help. But Louisa says he probably had servants and advisors helping him, but was too spoiled. And they're like bantering, I guess, back and forth about it. And Clara asks her why she's being so mean. And she says that he annoys her because he's expecting them to be grateful to help him when they're putting their home and their future at risk. And I'm like, yeah, you are. So why are you helping him?
Yeah.
So they get inside that one door, and inside there's just like a hallway of more doors. So the Nutcracker tries to open one, but it's iron because obviously Drosselmeyer is paranoid. So Clara checks on the right and Louisa checks the doors on the left, and they get to two doors that are facing each other that have magic locks. So she uses her blood and goes in the left one, and Clara goes in the right one. And in the one that Louisa is in, she turns on a lamp, and it's basically like a workroom, and there's cabinets and drawers and shelves and glass bottles, and everything's labeled. And there's a work table that has trays that have like dark splotches that look like old blood. And then there's another table at the end of the room that's big enough for a tall, broad man to lie on, with iron manacles and shackles. And there's an upright circular frame taller than her with leafless branches with nothing inside. And she's like, oh, this is what he meant by a doorway to nowhere. She's like, I did recognize it when I saw it, I guess.
But like it's obvious. A door to nowhere. You open a door, there's nothing there.
Yeah. I guess they're not used to magic in the mortal world. If somebody told me to look for a door to nowhere with no magic in this world, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So Clara calls out to her, and the portal pulls to Louisa, but Clara calls out again. So she goes over to her room, and the room is just full of weapons and traps. There's like nearly invisible nets and spiked maces and slim swords and iron-studded ropes. So there's a lot of shit there. And the Nutcracker tells them that some of these are the hunter's weapons and some are his people's weapons that I guess were taken by Drosselmeyer.
Woo!
So he points out an axe and says that it's his friend's Andal. It's one of her axes, and she's actually an automaton in the kitchen. And he didn't realize that she had been taken, but she's been gone for 2 years.
Oh.
And I'm like, so we're just leaving his friend here now? He doesn't care to try to take her, like, it just seems mean. I'm assuming we'll come back at some point. You kind of have to, I guess.
Yeah.
But he also mentions Drosselmeyer used to only take, like, fae that were kind of, like, easy to catch, but now he's going after seasoned warriors, which is different. Louisa asks the Nutcracker how he was captured, but he can't remember. He says he just woke up bound to a table where Drosselmeyer put the curse on him, and it took him away from his court and left his people vulnerable to the Rat King, who is the king of the Oncili, and the lord of the court of... I had Dread. Did you say it was dead?
Could be either. I don't remember.
Good point. I don't know if I just accidentally typed that in there or whatever. It's fine. So then he says he's going to find a weapon and then find the portal. And Louise is just like, I found the portal.
Yeah, it's just across the hall.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier than I expected for them to find it.
100%. And then Louisa wonders if the Nutcracker might be evil. And she's like, why else would Drosselmeyer hunt them? But she can tell that Clara is, like, super sure of him. And this is why I was like, so is Clara, like, just immediately in love with him for no reason? And then Louisa asks the Nutcracker if he can lie. But he's just like, what's the point in me answering that? Because if I say no, even if it's the truth, you could think I was lying. Like, you should be able to come up with a question to get the answer.
Well, like you could say, are you wearing black boots?
Yeah, but he could still be able to lie and tell the truth. I don't know what you'd have to ask him.
Good point.
It's a hard one. But yeah. she basically says that she's not sure they should let him leave. And she's like, what if he's actually a wicked monster and that's why Drosselmeyer was hunting them? And Clara just says that he's not because she can feel it. And I'm like, this is the extent of their argument, I guess. And Louisa is like, but why would our father leave us with somebody who enslaves, like, fae, living beings, if they're harmless? And he just cuts in to say that they aren't harmless, but they're Seelies and intelligent and just, and they learn from their mistakes. And then he's like, do humans do the same? She's just like, well, all humans aren't the same.
Valid.
And he is the one that despises, or seems to despise, all mortals, but wants their help now. And she, like, puts a knife to his chin and asks if he would bleed if she cut him. And then Clara just, like, jumps in to stop her. But Louisa says, what we all know, that fae are tricksters by nature. And she slides the knife, like, down his neck and says that they'll let him go, but she's coming to see if it's true. So she's still wary, I guess, but wants to go on an adventure. And she looks over at Clara, who she's expecting to be like, oh no, we can't. But Clara's, like, super intrigued because she's an artist. And that's the entirety of the explanation of why she's intrigued.
What?
Because she's an artist. That's like, Louisa's like, oh, she's intrigued because it's a different world and she wants to do art.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then Louisa just has a thought of how sometimes they both go on adventures together. Like the time the postman brought over his cousin and they spent 2 hours in the shed, and Clara told her later that she gave up her virginity to him. And that just makes her think that, like, Clara can be rebellious, but it's always calculated based on trying to get something that she wants. I just think it's kind of funny to slip in there that, like, she's had sex before.
Yeah.
Like, is that point to that? Like,
yep.
But anyway, the Nutcracker then says that, like, they can't go because they're literally at war right now, and the Seelie court might have fallen while he was gone. And Claire's just like, wouldn't there be a new king? But he says it isn't like human worlds. They're magically bound until they die or give up the throne. So right now the throne is going to stay empty, which is interesting. So Louisa says, like, if that's the case, then the Rat King can't conquer your throne if you're still magically bound to it. But he says that that wouldn't stop him from, like, encroaching on his land and extending his power and corrupting his people. So it kind of reminds me of Guild that we read, like Rot encroaching on other land and stuff.
Yeah.
Just makes me think of Guild a tiny
bit.
And then the Nutcracker says that they'll slow him down. And she's like, but you need mortal blood or you're going to freeze up again and be a doll.
I mean,
and
valid point.
100%. So he's just like, fine. But he says when he makes it to the unending pool, they have to come back. Louisa just, like, squeals and almost cuts her hand on her own dagger. And he just, like, rolls his eyes at her because she's not very bright. But she grabs a belt and sheath and a bag and some other weapons, and Clara takes 2 bone white knives, and the Nutcracker has a sword.
This just feels, they're like these proper, like, Victorian era ladies, and they're like, let's go through a portal, and, like, I don't understand this. Like, I understand how it's explained. They want adventure. But, like,
yeah,
this is not the way to do it.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't feel authentic enough. That it doesn't feel believable that they would want to jump through a portal to the land of fairy with a guy they don't trust.
Yeah.
Just for the reasons that were explained.
Yeah, and
then they're like, let's go get weapons, as if they know how to use them.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm like, this seems completely impossible. Yeah, I don't know. I can see, like, I can see being curious about it, but you need to have more of a conversation. And to be like, Clara just wants to go because she's an artist and she likes pretty things. It's like, that's not a reason.
Yeah.
It would almost have been cool if, like, he was packing up weapons and then they got close to the portal and it just sucked the three of them in because they didn't really understand how the portal worked, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit flimsy.
And, like, them being like, oh, you need us for the blood. And I'm like, you guys don't even know if you, like, trust him. Why do you want to help him so bad?
Or if he, like, took one of them through because he was like, I need you for the blood, and then the other one grabbed some weapons and followed.
Yes, that would make more sense, but at the same time, they can't make him a villain because he's one of the love interests.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit intense to just be like, and now we'll do this. It doesn't seem realistic, but I guess they're adventurous people, and they don't think about consequences.
Yeah. I'm not here for it.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Clara asks a logical question about, like, the portal moving, and he says that Drosselmeyer likely moves it himself, so it should stay where it is until they get back.
But, like,
and Louisa's
but, like, Drosselmeyer knows where they've gone. So what makes them think he wouldn't close the portal on them?
Because he cares about them?
That people he's known for 2 days?
Yeah. He cares about their father? Louisa just says not to ask questions and jump. So they get to the portal and the Nutcracker just looks at it and he says he was hoping they could pick where it goes, but then they start hearing, like, a door crash and footsteps, and Louisa's like, we're out of time, and she just pushes them through. So, like, I guess that's a bit more... Like, I think Clara might have asked a few more questions and maybe wouldn't have gone. But now they're gone. So we go into Clara's point of view, and it's colorful, and she's on her knees, and the Nutcracker's like, you need to get up. Like, Drosselmeyer's coming. And it's just, like, a super beautiful place, and there's a lavender mist in the distance, and the ground is just a bunch of different colored gemstones. And Clara can't understand it, but she wants to worship it. And the Nutcracker says he should have warned them that the sight of fairy can collapse some human minds, but it's usually only temporary. And Louisa's like, yeah, you probably should have warned us.
Probably should have.
So he tells them to close their eyes, and Clara does, but then she's overwhelmed by, like, smells and the feeling of the breeze and unfamiliar birds, and then she can hear Louisa panting and refusing to close her eyes. And she starts to say, like, she's stronger, but he hushes her and tells her to close his eyes and gets them both to take his hands. And I guess this is when Louisa, like, he keeps calling her mortal, so she's finally like, my name's Luigi. Louisa.
Wow, it's like the Nintendo mashup we never asked for.
Yeah. And the way he says her name is, like, so rich, and I'm like, but didn't we feel the same thing when he said Clara's name earlier? Like, what the fuck is going on? But then he says, good girl. And we're like, whoa. Is this going to be a kink?
I'm okay if it is.
Yeah. So he takes both of their hands and he says he's going to guide them. And then they hear their names because Drosselmeyer is there. And he says, don't go with him. He's not what he seems. And they don't know who they, like, what they're dealing with, which is 100% what we were saying. And the Nutcracker just tells them to open their eyes and run. So they start running, but Clara thinks that Drosselmeyer, like, voiced the same doubts that Louisa mentioned. And then she notices that Drosselmeyer has a crossbow aimed at the Nutcracker, and she yells at everyone to get down, and she drags the Nutcracker down as the arrow flies by. And Drosselmeyer just yells out at them to stop and calls them idiot girls and says that they'll ruin everything.
Yeah.
And
probably.
then Claire's just like, you called us idiot girls. I'm not going to be on your side now. It's just so stupid.
Ugh.
I'm going to trust everything now because you called us idiots. And also because they're being shot at. So they all get up and like she kind of gets overwhelmed again, but then an arrow goes between the Nutcracker and Louisa, and I'm like, how is Drosselmeyer such a terrible shot, and why? And the Nutcracker tells them to close their eyes, and she thinks that she wants to obey, but then she sees 8 figures in dark robes coming from the trees, and their hideousness balances out her brain so that she's not so overwhelmed by the beauty.
Oh my god, I hate it.
And I was like, whoa.
So mean.
That is so mean. So they're tall and they're slim and they have swords or clubs and they have the head of a white rat and beady eyes and black teeth and shadows form around them.
So wait, was I wrong? Are they not masks?
We're not there.
Oh,
yet.
okay, sorry. My bad.
So I guess she can't tell at the moment. That's just what they look like. They just have white rat bead heads. So Clara screams and the Nutcracker just says fuck. And the girls grab their daggers that we presumably know, like they don't know how to use, but okay. And Clara says, help us, to Drosselmeyer, and he grips his bow. And then he just turns and runs to the portal, and the portal disappears. You're like, yeah, obviously that's what was going to happen. What the fuck did they expect? So the Nutcracker tells them to stay behind him, but Louisa says that he can barely use the sword and tells Clara to help hold them off while she checks her bag, because she threw in a whole bunch of shit from the weapons room. So there's 8 of them. 2 come front on and 3 approach from either side. And Clara can tell that they're savoring their fear.
How do you tell that?
Somehow.
How can you tell?
I don't know, man. Louisa says she doesn't know what these are, but holds up a ball and presses a button on it, and it starts to hum. And Clara tells her to throw it, so she does. And one of the 2 rats catches it, and it just blows up. Which is pretty dumb. So those 2 fall to the ground, and Louisa covers the Nutcracker, and Clara's just, like, wondering why, but then she notices that out of this bomb thing, pieces of iron are being shot. So Louisa's trying to protect the Nutcracker from being hit by iron. But we get that, like, the bomb is specifically made for Faye. So that killed 2 rats. And they can see now that, like, the guys are, like, pretty destroyed, but one of the rats' heads, you can see inside that there's a face inside of it, and it's a beautiful Fae face. So they are masks.
Why on earth would you try and hide your beauty to be ugly?
I don't know. It's very, like, Stormtrooper-esque. So the 6 run at them, and Clara asks her to throw another one. And she's like, I only have 1 left. But she throws it at 3 of them. And then they run towards the other 3 to get away from it, because there's 3 on either side of them. And it blows up. And we go to Louisa's point of view, and she just goes flying. And she loses her dagger. And she's right in front of a rat soldier who's, like, looking down at her. But the Nutcracker stabs him through the leg, and he swings his club, and it takes off more of the splinters in the Nutcracker's arm. And she wonders, like, what is gonna happen? Like, what kind of impact does splinters leave,
Yeah.
you know?
It's
a really good question.
I wonder this too.
Yeah, like, is his arm gonna just be cut, or will he be...
Yeah, like, will it be, like, will it need to be put in a sling? And, like, what's their healing like?
Yeah. Good questions. So she finds her knife, and she stands up, and she sees that Clara is just like screeching and swinging her knife at the other rat. And 2 rats come over to her and the Nutcracker, and she tells him to get up, and she wishes that he had his real body. Which, of course, he agrees. He wishes that too. And they just go back to back, and he says that they'll deal with these and then go help her sister. So a rat comes at her and swings a sword, and she's just good at it. She's good at blocking him for some reason. And she's kind of like, she doesn't say her ADHD, but she's like, her like attention span helps her be good at this. And I'm like, oh, so she's just amazing at blocking the sword.
Yeah, with no training whatsoever.
Yeah, because of her attention span. Sure. So she asks if the Nutcracker's still alive, and he says barely. And then he's like, you protected me from that bomb. And she's like, you're welcome. And he says that he thought that she disliked him. And she says that she's sure the feeling's mutual, and he agrees. And then he says duck, and they avoid getting hit by like a club. And she tells him that her godfather said that the Nutcracker isn't what he seemed, and he agrees, and he says that he's normally not wooden.
Well,
and the rat
isn't that nice? Like, thank you.
Yeah, super helpful. And then the rat tells her to give up, and he promises to fuck her before killing her. And she's just like, how is that a bargain? Yeah.
I mean,
and
I guess, like, I would add the caveat, like, as long as you make me come, please.
Yeah, then you can kill me.
Well, I mean, if it's just sex and that person's the only one getting something out of it, then there's no need, like, what's in it for me?
Yeah. So yeah, she just says that she's fucked many people, but she draws the line at a foul rat bastard. And he says that he'll make her scream for mercy. And he grabs her wrist and twists, and she drops the dagger. And I was like, did he break her wrist? But we don't really get anything else on it. And then he grabs her by the throat and squeezes. And she realizes that when he was fighting her with the sword, he was toying with her. And he picks her up and slams her onto the ground, and then starts, like, pulling at her skirt. And they fight a bit, but he punches her in the face, and she's dazed. And he just starts to shove her dress up her legs. So he's gonna rape her, I guess. I'm like, okay.
I love that. I love that that's where we go. All the time.
All the time. So Clara pushes the rat off and starts stabbing him. And Louisa's able to get herself up and eventually, like, over to Clara and stops her because the rat is already dead, but Clara is still, like, stabbing it. And Clara eventually stops and turns into Louisa and starts to cry. The Nutcracker kills his rat and then is able to kill the third one because Clara stuck its hand on the tree by stabbing it onto the tree. And I'm like, doesn't he have another hand? Couldn't he have just take the knife out?
Yes.
Anyway. Whatever. The Nutcracker kills that one too. And then the Nutcracker says that they're lucky that these rat guys were only using aura magic to spoil the air and befoul the earth.
Whatever that means.
Which is why I guess, like, maybe that's why they looked so hideous and it made her not so overwhelmed with Fae, like, I guess. And they're lucky they weren't using focused magic, which I guess we can kind of make an assumption what it could be. Like, if they hadn't been using magic focused on hurting them. Anyway, they would have been screwed. I'm like, okay, I guess. But I guess we'll get some of that in the future. Louisa says he'd be dead now without them. And he says that his head would be on the way to the Rat King. And he comments on her face, but she says that she's fine. And he tells her that he feels bad he didn't get to her sooner. But he wouldn't have let the soldier... aka rape her. And she just cuts him off and says that Clara got there in time, so it's fine.
Yeah, her sister that all of a sudden is like an expert at combat and can beat a fae.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So Clara kind of comes back to herself and she apologizes for crying and says that she should be comforting Louisa. But Louisa just says that it's okay. And she thinks their father would always make them apologize for crying. And he would say that it was a woman's way to manipulate men, which is just so gross.
Yeah. But again,
And-
it's where we always end up.
Yeah. And Clara just says, like, mentions that their godfather left them. And Louisa says that he's a cowardly asshole. But Claire says, like, they don't know what he's going to do next. And the portal's gone, so they're stuck here.
Which they
And
probably should have
Louisa's just
thought
like-
about before they were so eager to jump through a portal in the first place.
100% it was stupid. But Louisa's just like, we just need to worry about our next step and nothing else. Okay. So Louisa basically says, like, the Unseelie must have encroached on his court, and the Nutcracker agrees and says that those rats were just a scouting group, so they need to leave immediately and find some help. So Clara asks if he has any servants or soldiers or allies, and he's just like, his soldiers are dead or imprisoned, and all his servants are in the royal city, and there is an ally nearby. And Clara asks if it's a friend, and he says, no, much worse than that. It's family. Which is just so funny. So we go to Clara's point of view, and she's kind of in her head a bit now, and she lets the other two walk ahead of her, because she's like, she didn't think that she could kill a living being, but she just did. And she's actually not super shaken about it, which she thinks is a bit odd. But she thinks that she's been murderously angry for a while. Why? I don't know. I guess a woman living in this time period makes you murderously angry, I guess.
Yeah,
but...
it's didn't really lay a lot of groundwork for that.
No. But she thinks it might be good that she is in this place because there's a lot of things attacking them, so she's going to need to fight. And then she thinks, like, it isn't really a bad place to die because it's so beautiful here.
Wow.
So she sees the beauty again, but it isn't as overwhelming, mostly because she could just look down and see the blood on her and think of the rat screaming as she killed it.
Yikes.
Wild.
Yikes.
So Louisa says that the sun here looks the same as the one back in their world, and the Nutcracker says, like, the mortal world and the Fey world are two sides of the same coin, so it is the same sun. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't get it, but not for me to understand. Then he tells them that they're on the way to find his cousin, and he's a bit of an ass, but he's a powerful warrior and spellcrafter. And the Nutcracker, like, has to lean on a tree for a second, and they realize he's starting to stiffen again. So Louisa cuts her sleeve and then her arm and gives him more blood, and then asks again what would happen if he drank the blood. And he says he doesn't know. So she's just like, you should try. And Clara just thinks that, like, she wants to paint this moment of them together. But the Nutcracker tells her that only the Unseelie consume blood. So the Nutcracker and Louisa argue a bit back and forth. And she says, like, if there are more rats, he needs to not be a Nutcracker. And he just says if he was in his true form, he could have killed them all immediately.
Of course he could.
Yeah. And she's just like, yeah, whatever. Just do it. And he just agrees to drink her blood. Like, this just seems so, like, out of nowhere.
But also,
okay.
he's not a vampire.
Yeah, it's just interesting. But he literally says only the Unseelie consume blood. And then he's like, You convinced me.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so weird. I expected there to be more.
More like,
anyway.
yeah. Just more.
Because, like, if this is one of the defining differences between Seelie and on-Seelie,
But
I guess it's not.
can't be that. It can't be that important.
Exactly. It's just so weird. And Clara kind of feels like she's intruding on a moment between them. So she says that she's going to the stream because she's thirsty. I'm like, bitch, you're not supposed to drink anything in Fairy. That's just a basic rule. That's one that everyone knows. So this is just an interesting thing, too, because she starts going down a path. She just, like, skids down a hill and rips off half of her dress and is tumbling until she ends up in a bush. And I'm like, how did Louisa and the Nutcracker not notice that she's just, like,
because
tumbling and falling
I'm
and screaming?
assuming the blood drinking is hot.
Probably. We don't get anything about that maybe until next chapters about it, but I didn't read after this week. But anyway, she ends up getting up, and her dress is now only to, like, the top of her thighs, and she has scratches all over her legs and arms and chest because her dress is short sleeve and low cut. Of course. So her dress is, like, barely existent now. So she gets to the stream, and it looks normal. Idiot.
Yep.
And she starts to scoop it up and drink it. And she's just like, it's so sweet. And she feels like she could drink it forever. And I'm like, is that the curse of the water? That, like, if nothing stopped you, you'd just stay there and drink it forever?
I'm not crazy that, like, the land of fairy is this, like, candy sweet, like, I don't know, like, fluffy place.
Yeah, but is that everything or just this part?
I don't know.
Yeah. Is, like, in the Nutcracker, is the world kind of like, what's the world like there?
Is
it like candy?
Yes, in the Nutcracker, it's very candy, like candy cane forest, like gumdrops, like peppermint everything.
Yeah, so I guess it's trying to tie that in. Maybe it is the whole world is like that then. But yeah, I was wondering if it was just this place because of the person we're meeting, but maybe it is everything. But then she hears a guttural sound and she looks up and there's a rat, but it's not like the soldiers. It's like a bear, and it lunges across the water at her and then is just, like, on top of her and sniffing her. And she can't scream because she doesn't have any breath. And then something flies through the air and into the rat's eye.
It's like,
which makes it yell.
It's like one of the ROUSs.
What?
One of the ROUSs, a rodent of unusual size, from The Princess Bride.
Yes, okay. I needed more explanation on that one. Yeah. So, she looks at this thing sticking out of the rat's eye, and it's like an arrow, but it's white and red like a peppermint stick. And the rat's eye is leaking like a dark fluid. And I'm like, so blood. Probably blood. But it sniffs at her and then starts sniffing between her legs. And I'm like, is every person here just interested in sex? Because that's what it seems like. So she goes to grab her knife, but another peppermint arrow hits the rat in the nose, and the rat just, like, gets off of her finally and starts to look around for the attacker. And she shoves both of her knives into its belly, and then the rat lifts a paw to, like, swat at her, and she scrambles back, but a rainbow blur goes between her and this rat guy. And it's fast, and it has blue gauzy wings, and a slim, graceful body, and, like, a trickle of laughter. And she thinks, like, this is a fairy in its true form.
I hate it.
And then the male cocky laugh sends naughty thrills through her body.
I really hate it.
And then he pulls the stick arrow peppermint thing out of the rat's nose and shoves it into its other eye and comes over to her. and she sees he has like sharp white teeth and pink hair, and then he just picks her up and flies off. And she's just like, what the fuck are you doing? And he says saving her life. And he calls her sugar, like constantly. Ugh. And she tells him to put her down, and he like goes to a clearing and drops her on some blue sugary grass and lands next to her. And she thinks like she's never let a guy see her in such an immodest state because her dress is torn.
Except for the one that she let fuck her? Or like...
Well, it was in the dark.
Right.
She literally thinks that in this moment. It's just funny. And he's looking at her with lust.
Of course he is.
Of course. And we get that he's wearing purple pants and vest and a blue cape that matches his wings and like a white iridescent flowy shirt under his purple vest. And he has a snowflake choker and lollipop earrings in his pointed ears.
Hate it so much.
And I'm like, with pink hair, too. I'm like, this is crazy.
I understand the idea of a sugar plum fairy. I get it. But, like, really, does he have to be, like, bubblegum? Like, it's really, like, it does, and it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I get it. I can't picture anything good with this description. No. So she says she needs to go back. And he says someone as delicious as her shouldn't have a death wish. But she says that she means to her friends. And he says, of course she has friends here. Because they wouldn't leave a mortal morsel on her own. And he can see why the rat went after her. Because he smells her then and says she smells absolutely scrumptious.
Ugh, hate that word.
So she goes for a knife, but she left them both in the rat. And he just says she doesn't need them anymore and unbuckles her, like, knife belt. And I'm like...
Why?
Presumptuous? Yeah. And why? But he asks if her friend is Drusselmeyer, and he hopes not, because if it is, he'll have to kill her. And he says he'll know if she's telling the truth. We don't know how, but he will. And she tells the truth. She says that, like, Drosselmeyer's her godfather, but not her friend. And her sister and a Fey prince are the ones that she wants to go back to. And they were attacked. And now they're trying to find the prince's cousin, who is a great warrior, who's going to help. And he just laughs and he's like, I don't know any great warriors around here. And he asks the prince's name, but she doesn't know it. And neither do we. And he says that fairy only give their names to those they trust. So she hasn't won the Nutcracker's trust yet. So he's not going to give his trust to her either. And she says that she shouldn't trust him either. And he says, why? Because he's like, I'm pretty and I saved your life. Like, fair enough.
Sure.
But she looks at him, and she thinks he is pretty, and he's a bit boyish, but his teeth are terrifying. I just can't picture this. I'm going to need to look up fan art.
I'm going to do it right now.
Thank you. She asks if he'll bring her back, and he says that she owes him a life debt, and now she wants a favor. And she's just like, well, I don't have anything to give you. But he says that mortals have a lot of things that they could trade. Like blood, tears, dreams, bones, memories. And then he says ears.
Ears?
And yeah, I guess because they're so different. And he tells her that he knows many who collect ears and not all of them are unseelie. And she's like, so you have unseelie friends. So she assumes that he's in line with the Rat King. But he kind of tells her that, like, you can't assume things like that and not to judge Fae based on their kingdom. So I'm guessing that means that, like, now this is part of the Unseelie kingdom. But he doesn't really deny it outright. So she starts to back away. And he says that she won't last long here alone with all the rats around. And she asks if he's on the Rat King side, and he says, fuck no, because the Rat King has no sense of style.
That's a reason.
And that's the only reason to it. And then he laughs, and says that she looks so cute when she's affronted. Which is funny. And he says he hasn't played with a human in the longest time, and he forgot how fun it can be, especially if they're young and naive. And then he asks if she's a virgin. And she thinks like she's already reacting to him in a sexual way, but says that that's inappropriate. But then just says no, she isn't a virgin. And he says pity because virgin blood would have made a good trade, and now they're going to have to figure something else out. And she just says that she's not pleasuring him and that she'll go on her own. But he says he didn't ask for that. And then she thinks about it and she offers to paint him.
I mean, it's a good deal because he seems like a self-obsessed.
Yeah, he thinks he's pretty. But it's funny because then he's like, yes, you're a painter. But he says, I don't need you to paint me because I can look in a mirror. But I'll get you to paint something else, and you'll come back to my manor and do it before we break the prince's curse. And she's just like, sure. And I'm like, you're just
making deals left and right.
Like, shouldn't we be worried about this prince? Like, your sister's gonna bleed out if she has to keep powering him. But she agreed, and he says that they sealed bargains differently in Fairy, and that a kiss will do. And she kisses him on the cheek, and he looks disappointed, but he kisses her on the cheek back. And she just tells him that her name's Clara. And he says he won't be telling her his name yet, and they'll go find her friends. So that's where we end up. Yeah, it's something.
So, when we chose this book, I didn't really do any reading on it. Like, I didn't look up any reviews. We just said, all right. And I have since read reviews. And I don't know. It has not... it's not written as well as I'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Really. And, like, the reviews sort of attest to that.
Yeah, like, the motivation of characters, like, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, not even thinking about making a deal here at the very end. It's like, you'd think that through. You wouldn't just be like, sure, I'll make a deal. Let's do that before we worry about the prince. Like, without even thinking about, like, he could ask you to paint his entire manor without stopping before you're allowed to go do that. Like, there's no real specificity to the deal they just made. She just didn't think, which I know is a common thing, making deals with Faye and not thinking it through, but you'd think she would have for a second been like,
can we go talk to my sister first?
Yeah, you bring me there and then I'll make the, like, I don't know.
Yeah, because, like,
she didn't even fight back on
Are they not in a rush?
You have to paint it. Yeah, she didn't fight back at all on the, like, you have to paint it.
Yeah.
Before they do the next part of saving the prince. It just is, it's a bit odd. But yeah, this is our first week.
And I wonder, are they gonna split up? Like, if this whole, like, you have to paint it before you leave, like, is it gonna be, okay, well, she has to stay here and paint it, and Louisa and the Nutcracker are gonna go on their way? Because it would be weird for them to have all these sexy times, because apparently that's what this book is. It's just pure smut. From what I've read.
That seems fair.
So...
based on how everything's been going lately.
So I guess, like, it would be weird for all the smut to happen while they're both traveling together.
Yes, if they are traveling.
If they're just like,
but then like
if they're just like camping in the woods.
Yeah. But then it's also like the whole point was they needed to find an ally to help them get him to the pond. To then separate and just leave him and Louisa together is even less people together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know.
It's just... Anyway, we'll see what happens next week. This is where I stopped, so...
Yeah. Me too.
Anyway. I like Clara. I'm annoyed that she is going to have a relationship with the Sugar Plum Fairy and not the Nutcracker, because literally every single iteration of the Nutcracker, Clara and the Nutcracker, while not romantically always together, because in the ballet, Clara's young, like a child.
Yeah.
While not always romantically linked, is always linked. So I'm just annoyed that that's not. Like, that seemed like the obvious way to go with it. Maybe that's why she didn't go with it that way, but it just, it ruins it a little bit for me.
Yeah. Maybe they switch. Who knows?
Maybe. Anyway. I guess we're gonna wrap it up for this week. If you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on anything you heard in our episodes, or if you have a book suggestion for us, please reach out to us by email at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com or on Instagram or Facebook at coffeeandcoread and coffee.coread on TikTok.
So next week we're going to be reading A Court of Sugar and Spice, chapters 8 to 13. So just make sure to follow along, and if you're enjoying our chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you get our content. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next page.